What's good, Ja? You already know what it is, baby. This is T Paris, aka the Young Marvin Gaye. This rap shit, most original, most creative, most in tune with the times, and I'm sort of like your inspiration. And this is Peace Perspective. But let's not waste no time. Let's get right into it. Now, our first order of business, I'm gonna ask that you please hit that like button, and I'm gonna ask that you please hit the subscribe button. Comments, please keep those coming, man. We really appreciate those. I just want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, thank you. You know, we've been getting a lot of engagement in the dialogue, and it feel good, man. It feel good to see people participating in whatever it is that we discussing. You know, I think we all growing. I think that we all getting something positive from it. So, again, I just want to say thank you. Now, our topic of discussion this week is going to be fathers. You know, it's only right, it's only fitting. I want to give a shout out to all the fathers of the world, man. Toast to the town. When we finish, we're going to have a little drink, man. Pop a bottle. It's on me. Toast to the town, fellas. Now, I wanted to do this topic today because I think that a lot of times when we speak about fathers, you know, a lot of misconceptions, and I just kind of feel like we undervalue. So I wanted to take the moment to just focus on something positive, you know, bring some love, bring some attention to us, and just really, you know what I'm saying, shine the light on those men that's out there doing what they got to do, you know, for their kids all the time. Before we start there, though, I just want to give a little disclaimer, a little public service announcement, so to speak. We just had Juneteenth a couple days ago. I personally wasn't celebrating it. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people was. But my reason for not participating was just that I felt like we was all in solidarity at the moment, and I knew Father's Day was coming. And y'all know the shenanigans that come along with Father's Day. You know, got a lot of women, you know, feel like they single mothers. They want to celebrate Father's Day. You know, a lot of baby mothers, their fathers is not around. They want to bash the men. You know, you just want to take away from the men on this day. And I thought that that would happen. But I want to point out that all day long, on my timeline at least, I didn't see not one negative comment from the women. I ain't see no male bash and none of that. So I want to say I apologize for that. You know, maybe I jumped the gun. I ain't have enough faith in us. But I don't got no problem being accountable about it, man. Toast to the town. Now, moving right along. I wanted to have this topic of discussion because I feel like we undervalue, you know what I'm saying, as men. I wanted to clear up some of the misconceptions. I wanted to just talk about what it is to be a father and just, you know, add a little bit of value to what it is to be a black man out here today in America. Now, oftentimes when we talk to people and you ask people about what a man is, it's just my opinion, but I think that oftentimes women will share characteristics of the type of man that they want. Now, a man is real simple. You know, a man is just a male species, right? He just represents the male species. You got the female, and that represents the female species. The sex organs pretty much let us know which is which, right? It's that simple. One of the characteristics of being a man, though, is masculinity. Now, masculinity is defined by aggressiveness and strength, right? Now, it's just my perception, my idea. I think that a lot of times you talk about masculinity, you know, and you mention strength and aggressiveness, people associate it with violence. Now, I don't think you necessarily got to be violent to be masculine. I think we could show strength mentally. I think showing resilience is strength. You know, it's not always about brute strength. Just an example, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes just being there and building up your kids' character, you know, being supportive of them, you know, just showing them that you love them, you know, that's being supportive, man. That represents being strong, you know, showing strength. But I think sometimes these labels, they put us in a place where we allow society, so to speak, you know, to determine what is a good father and what's a bad father, man. Don't get me wrong. There are some men out there who aren't, you know, the best fathers. But I feel like, you know, a lot of us are coming from situations where we ain't even have a father. And so you learning on the fly, so to speak. And so I think it's unfair to critique people, you know what I'm saying, under a microscope or, you know, to be so harsh when you're trying to tell somebody, you know, how you feel about them being a father. I don't think that we critique, you know, the mothers the same way. And I don't want to turn this into a bashing session. But I do want to big up the fathers and talk about some of the trials and tribulations of being a father. So, you know, off top, I want to point out that sometimes, you know, just being a male figure, an uncle, an older brother, a mentor, a role model, those are all forms of being a father. Now, the father, quote unquote, is the male, that donates the sperm to create the child. But oftentimes, like I said, some of us didn't have our fathers around. And so other people have stepped up and played the role of being a father. And if they've done it for us, and we've done it for other people too. So I think that we have to, show some type of appreciation for that. When we talk about being a father, some of the traits or characteristics that we talk about are, being able to provide, being able to protect, and being able, to show love. Now, those terms right there are oftentimes misconstrued. When we talk about providing and you ask people what it is to provide, 9 times out of 10, they talking about money. Now, don't get me wrong, being a father, it is expensive. You got to pay. Kids got doctor's appointments, they need a roof over their head, need clothes on their back, diapers, Pampers. They want things, all that. It becomes expensive. However, to be a provider does not solely, lie on money. You know what I'm saying? We provide different things. And I'm just, give you an example. Sometimes providing love, providing support, providing guidance, just being there for your child in the time of need, you know what I'm saying? Those are also, ways to provide something positive to your child. And I think that sometimes we may fall upon hard times, but we might not have the financial resources to provide. But should that mean that at that moment you're not a father anymore? There's so many other ways to provide. Now, I'll give you an example. We provide protection. You know what I'm saying? Protection is not always, physical. It's not always fighting. So I had a situation one time where my child was in school and they was in the lunchroom and she was talking to one of her friends or whatever, and the dean yelled at her, and she put her head down and, kind of didn't want to hear it. I guess maybe being embarrassed. And he like, look at me when I'm talking to you. You need to look me in my eyes. And I ain't like that. You know what I'm saying? I went to my daughter's school and I told him, listen, your job ain't to discipline her. Don't ever try to discipline my child in that manner. You know what I'm saying? Next time you ever try it, I'm coming up here to discipline you. I'm soft-spoken when I speak to my daughter. You know what I'm saying? I don't raise my voice and yell and scream at her. And so when you do that, that's uncomfortable to her. That's not a tone that she's accustomed to. It's not your job to be sitting here intimidating these kids. And a lot of times that happens in the school because the administration think that we as parents don't care, And oftentimes they see, single parent moms coming all the time. They don't see the fathers, I don't go to school a lot of time for that reason alone. When I come out, I'm really trying to hear you, justify the wrongdoings. I'm coming to, get it straight. But, that's part of being a protector, and part of being a provider. Nowhere along the lines am I saying that I'm coming to smack people around. Nah, I'm just coming to provide that support. But that real strong support that lets you know that we ain't going for it, man. And I think that that's important, important to pay attention that men are doing that. Sometimes we got situations where the mothers want to be in control of everything. And then when it get kind of hectic, then they want to call on us, And so that's a form of being able to provide. So next time when you saying to, your baby father or, the man that you dealing with, you're not a provider, I want you to really think about what you're saying. Just because you're not putting money on the table all the time don't mean you're not providing. And if I could elaborate, on protection. Sometimes your kids is in school, teachers is talking to them crazy, or the teachers is not listening to them. They want to hear where they coming from, and they intimidating them. Protecting their feelings, just being able to be there and hug them and let them know, it's all right. I'm going to be here for you. Those are just words. They're not going to put their hands on you. Sometimes the teachers have a bad day. And sometimes our kids are very sensitive. Like I said, I don't talk to my daughter in a aggressive tone. And so a teacher talking to an aggressive tone, it might scare her. But, be there and be supportive of her feelings and let her know. I'm going to be here regardless, no matter which way it go. That's part of being a father. Something else I would like to point out, love, providing love. for many of us, you know what I'm saying? You got daughters, and that's gonna be the first experience of, real love that your child is gonna experience. And so, pulling out chairs, opening doors, being able to listen to conversation, buying flowers, giving a nice tight hug, kisses on the forehead. These are gonna be things that she gonna look for other men when it's time to go out there in the world, you know what I'm saying, and date. And I think it's a lot of men that provide these things, but I don't think that they get the credit for doing it. So again, I just want to point out this is another way of showing protection, providing love, providing, period. And a lot of us are doing this, but we're not getting the credit for it. Something else that I think is important, man. A lot of times, as I mentioned before, we didn't have, fathers coming up. And so sometimes we don't really, know the blueprint of what it is to be a good father. And so I think that you got to give credit for the effort. A lot of fathers out here doing the best that they can. And I think it's important that we let them know that we see you. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that there's really a measuring stick on what you could say, is a great father. I think that there's so many different characteristics to being a father. You know what I'm saying? As long as you checking off, as many boxes as possible. And I think that you could tip your hat, to the idea of being a good father. Now, as we talking about good fathers, I don't want to let the fellas off the hook and think that I'm saying just because you bring a child in the world that you're a good father. Nah, but what I am saying is so many different ways that we provide, to our children. I think sometimes because we not on television or we not being, celebrated by the media, so to speak, some of us don't feel like we are great fathers. But I want to change that narrative, man. And the way that I want to do it is this. I'm going to take like 2 or 3 minutes and just point some things out, right? I want to give a shout out, to my twin brother, raised a child, from the age of 3. My nephew 27 now, by himself. We lived in New York, and his baby mom's all the way in Florida, you know what I'm saying? Got a beautiful daughter too. He doing the damn thing. I want to shout out my brother Tony Christ. Spent a great deal of time away in the prison. Never got a chance to meet his father. Got beautiful daughters, done got married, got some beautiful stepdaughters. And he there for all of them, you know what I'm saying? And still in the community, you know what I'm saying? Helping out the young men. Shout out to Tony Christ, man. That's a great father. I want to shout out, Coach Wilson. Spent a lot of time, man, engaging in sports, teaching life skills with us. I remember being in high school, he being a referee at one of my basketball games. You know what I'm saying? Here I am, a grown man, and he's still a mentor to me. Toast to the town. I want to give a shout out to my cousin Mecca, also spent time in prison. Done got married, moved away, got children, got a dog, doing his thing in the entertainment business. Always showing love, toast to the town. I want to give a shout out to, who else, man? My brother Pete, My brother got a lot of kids, man. I want to say 16. And he ain't, have his mom and his dad growing up. But I remember having this conversation. He told me, he said, yo, I want to have a lot of kids. Because I want to prove that one day I'm going to be able to be a good father. Even though my pops wasn't there for me, I'm going to be a good father. I want to leave something behind. Anybody who know my brother Pete, man, he got beautiful kids, man. Beautiful kids. And they all talented. I want to give a shout out to my brother Trife. Trife Boss. I spoke to you and I said that sometimes we don't necessarily have to have kids, but role models, man. He created something down there by the South Street Seaport, giving jobs to people coming from prison, coming from the shelter, young men in the streets. That's being a father figure, man, being a male role model. Appreciate that, brother. Toast to the town. My mentor, Chop, I call him Master Chop. I'm not going to go too deep into his story, I would like to see Chop write a book, but we done chopped it up so many times, fruits and veggies. And, he told me I had a tumultuous time coming up, But to see him inside the school giving back, see him inside the community giving back, Thanksgiving time, he willing to cook for us, giving back. Appreciate that, brother. Toast to the town. I wanted to do that because I just feel like, so many men, get beat up, get rained upon, get talked down upon, not very often get celebrated because people don't think that, you're a great father because you might not be doing what society, deems as being a great father. But, being a black male out here today is very challenging, man. Every day we walk out in the street, we got something that we up against. And, I think one of the hardest things to have to deal with is to be chastised about, the way that you're trying to take care of your family, take care of your kids. I ain't really had my pops growing up, but I love my pops to death, And I think sometimes when we talk about fathers, if we talk about some of the negative things that happen, people tend to look down upon us, I'm going to point something out today. And I'm pointing it out because, I'm very observative. But, I put a song out today, or put it up today, for my pops. It's called Lost and Found. And the song, you listen to the song, I talk about some of my pop's hardships, some of the things he went through. And I noticed a lot of people ain't really chime in to that. And I think that maybe they kind of felt like I was being disrespectful or, maybe it was too touchy or whatever. And that don't even matter to me. But I pointed out to say this, sometimes as men, we gonna fail and we gonna fail and we gonna fail and we gonna fail. It's really about how many times you're willing to get up after you fail. That's what I loved about my pops, man. My pops made a lot of mistakes in his life. But as a man, he was always accountable. Even my pops left, I learned a lot in his absence. And that's why I appreciate him so much. It was the lessons and the time that he spent when he was around that to me was so valuable. He was never a bad man. He was always a powerful individual in my eyes. I think that I was hurting because he wasn't around as much as I wanted him to be around. And that was just the love that I had for him. I was selfish in some ways. I wanted him to be by my side every day. But as I look at myself and I look at my twin brother, I feel like we turned out great. We turned out amazing, and we couldn't have did it without my father. He instilled a lot of positive lessons inside of us. And so I share that to say this to everybody that's paying attention, man. The next time you see a man, when you go to critique him, when you go to say, whether he's a good or a bad father, I want you to take some time and just think about how he go about doing things. He might not do them the way you want him to do them. But as long as he get it done, that's all that really matter. You understand what I'm saying? That's what being a father is. It's finding a way to get it done, no matter what it is. Sometimes we talk about, the kids need this or the kids need that. And I'm not neglecting that. And I'm not negating that. They definitely do. But kids need two parents. Two parents. So all that kicking the father out, pushing him to the side, belittling him because he don't meet your standards, we got to kick that to the wayside. You know what I'm saying? We got to kick that to the wayside. The job is not to determine how good of a father you are. It's to be a father. You know what I'm saying? No matter what you do in life, at some point in time, you're going to struggle. We only going to get better with practice. And so I'm challenging everybody out there, man, male and female. The next time you see a man out there, you don't be afraid to show him some love, man. That's all we looking for, some love and some support. I want to say Happy Father's Day to all the males out there, man. All the males out there. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Toast to the town. Peace.